Hey everybody, I'm Rhonda Freeman from Narrow Instincts. Today I want to talk to you about similarities and differences between psychopathy and narcissistic personality disorder. One of the questions I'm asked is there a difference between psychopathy and narcissistic personality disorder? Because they seem so similar. And I agree with you, the symptoms seem really closely related. In fact, researchers wonder the same thing. In 2010, in the Journal of Personality Disorders, there was a study that found there to be a positive, moderate correlation between certain factors of psychopathy and narcissistic personality disorder. So there were some similarities between the two disorders. Later, there was a study in the Journal of Personality Disorders in 2014, actually, and they found that the conditions, although similar, are distinct. They are not the same disorder. Now, in working with patients with both disorders, psychopathy and narcissistic personality disorder, I agree. I don't think that the conditions are the same. So, for example, when I see people with psychopathy, I see quite a bit of the profile of individuals with narcissistic personality disorder. But again, there are differences. But it can be really tough to tell the differences between these two groups when you're interacting with them. Let me give you a little story about Mary and her co-worker Richard. Now, they both worked in a lab, and Mary caught a mistake that Richard made, and so she happily brought the mistake out to him because she thought, wow, this will definitely save Richard a lot of time and he won't get in any trouble for the mistake. So she said, hey Richard, I want you to check this out. You may want to look at these numbers again. Rather than being grateful that she caught the mistake and thanking her, instead, Richard berated her. He was absolutely cruel to her, and she felt so upset that she left the room crying. She couldn't understand that reaction. She thought that it would be one of appreciation, and instead, she was exposed to narcissistic rage. Now, Richard has narcissistic personality disorder, and so he raged at her because he has a very fractured self. Narcissists are very insecure individuals. When they hear negative information, and it can be anything, it's not even a certain kind of information, it can be absolutely anything, they can actually feel injured by the information. They can feel threatened. They can feel attacked by the information. And therefore, in response, they attack. They are highly dependent upon the environment to hold themselves together. So getting negative information about yourself, even something as minor as, ooh, there's a mistake, you may want to correct that, is far too much for them to handle. And they will attack brutally, and it'll be unbelievably disproportionate to what the situation was, and it'll seem childlike, it'll seem severely immature, it'll seem as if the person has no ability to process the information properly, and unfortunately they just can't. Now, had Richard had psychopathy, do you think that the reaction would have been the same? Do you think that she would have gotten berated for showing Richard his error? Well, the answer is probably yes. Probably yes. She may have been berated in the same way. However, the reason for berating from a psychopath versus the narcissist is that Richard, as a psychopath, isn't looking for positive attention to hold himself together. Richard actually doesn't care what she thinks about him at all. He really doesn't care. There's no emotion tied to her opinion of him. He just does not care. What bothered Richard and caused him to go into a rage at her and berate her was that she has the audacity to point out his error as if she were his superior. And this is the way he's viewing it, as if she were his superior, and he felt in the loser position and having her in the winner position, and that's absolutely intolerable for somebody with psychopathy. Power is everything, control is everything, and to be perceived as weak or to be corrected in any way is absolutely a big no-no. It's just absolutely not allowed in their eyes. And so he berated her, but it was because she came to him as an equal, as a peer, And he never saw her in that way. He can't see her in that way. He only sees her as beneath him. And so he actually is being driven by power, control, and having a sense of superiority that is already there. He doesn't need anybody to build him up to feel good about himself. He's not hunting and addicted to approval. Whereas individuals with narcissistic personality disorder tend to be fairly addicted to needing approval and having that positive reflection come back to them. Whereas someone with psychopathy doesn't really need you to approve of them, because they don't care about your opinion anyway, because you're beneath them. They do tend to care about how they're going to use you, on the other hand. That is important to them. And your reaction to them is important to them when it means they have to adjust their game in some way. But their motivations are different. You see, it's not about how you feel about them and how that makes them feel. It's more about how to nail this game that they're trying to play. I really hope that was helpful, and I hope to see you guys over at Neuro Instincts, either on Facebook or Twitter. All right, take care, guys.